morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. My name is Vibha Jayasinghe, and I will be your host this fine morning. We are delighted to have you all here as we mark an important milestone for JXG. Now, JXG, the parent company of Janashakti Group, is an emerging financial conglomerate in Sri Lanka, comprising First Capital Holdings PLC, Janashakti Insurance PLC, and Janashakti Finance PLC, driven by the purpose of breaking barriers and forging futures. JXG reimagines wealth as a force that empowers individuals and businesses to thrive and forge their own futures. Built on decades of trust and financial sector expertise, the group aims to expand its financial services in Sri Lanka and overseas. Across the group, we collectively have over a century of experience. And while JXG may be a new name for you, we are certain that you are well aware of our subsidiaries, as Janashakti has become a household name in the years since its inception. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, to formally begin the proceedings, it is my pleasure to invite our distinguished panel to the head table. May I kindly invite Mr. CTA Shafter, Founder and Chairman Emeritus of JXG, Mr. Chandan De Silva, Group Chairman of JXG, Mr. Prakash Shafter, Deputy Chairman of JXG, Mr. Ramesh Shafter, Managing Director and Group CEO of JXG, Mr. Dilshan Veerasekara, Deputy CEO of JXG, and finally, Mr. Tharusha Ekanayaka, Chief Executive Officer at First Capital Advisory Services, the managers to the issue. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And now, to formally welcome you all, it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Chandan De Silva, Group Chairman of JXG, to deliver the welcome address. Mr. De Silva, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this media event today. We have here today members of the media, our valued partners who've assisted with organizing this event, and members of our staff. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for making this occasion an important one for us. The reason we are here is because today marks a significant milestone in our journey as we take this next step towards JXG's initial public offering. We're very pleased to share this moment with you and to share with you what lies ahead. So by way of context, let me say that for over 3 decades, the Janashakti Group has been built on a strong foundation of trust, vision, and a commitment to serve the financial needs of Sri Lankans. Our journey began with the pioneering vision of our founder, Emeritus Chairman, Mr. CTA Shafter, who established Sri Lanka's first specialized life insurance company. That bold step created opportunities for many for greater financial security and peace of mind. Our purpose, as you heard IMC say, has been guided by the simple yet powerful idea that we are here to break barriers and help forge futures, which seeks to enable individuals and businesses to move forward with confidence and to have more secure financial futures. This thinking has shaped how we have evolved. We don't see wealth as simply numbers, but as overall well-being. That's why today we stand as a fully integrated financial services group. Through Janashakti Life, we provide protection and peace of mind. Through Janashakti Finance, we support growth and access to opportunity. And through First Capital, we enable informed and strategic planning for retirement and for wealth creation. Together, these pillars reflect who we are today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, let me just say that as we look ahead, this IPO represents an important step in strengthening our commitment to good governance, innovation, and sustainable growth. More importantly, it reflects our responsibility to all our stakeholders, our customers, our employees, and the broader financial ecosystem of Sri Lanka. We are confident about the road ahead, and we are ready to expand our impact and reach more people and continue delivering meaningful value. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chandan De Silva, for those insightful opening remarks. And now, to give you a brief glimpse into the journey of JXG, let us shift our focus to a short video, one that highlights JXG's evolution from its humble beginnings as a life insurance company to now a prominent financial conglomerate.
Strengthening protection for individuals and businesses. In 2000, the life and general insurance businesses were united, creating a stronger organization. In 2001, Janashakti acquired National Insurance Corporation, marking one of the most notable acquisitions in the industry. In 2008, Janashakti Insurance was listed on the Colombo Stock Exchange, opening a new chapter of growth. In 2011, the group expanded into financial services with the acquisition of Orient Financial Services, broadening its portfolio into finance and leasing. The journey continued with the acquisition of Bartlett Finance in 2014 and AIA General Insurance in 2015, strengthening the group's financial ecosystem. In 2018, the group reshaped its strategy, divesting the general insurance business to Allianz and acquiring Dunamis Capital to expand into investment banking and capital markets. In 2019, Dunamis Capital PLC and Janashakti were amalgamated, creating a stronger platform for growth. In 2021, the group exited the real estate sector through the divestment of Kelsey Group, sharpening its focus on financial services. In 2022, the group embraced a new identity, JXG, marking its evolution into a financial conglomerate. Today, JXG continues its journey, breaking barriers, forging futures, while reimagining finance to create wealth.
Garner the trust and respect of the Sri Lankan community, one heart at a time. But that is the past. Let us now shift our focus to the present. I would now like to invite Mr. Ramesh Shafter, Managing Director and Group CEO of JXG, to share his thoughts and shed some light on this significant milestone and the group's future direction.
It is not the end of the journey, but just one more milestone, a significant one, in the life and passage of Janashakti Group. The story does not begin 30 years ago, but it's rather a story that is embedded in the life of our founder. And I am pleased to recognize Mr. C.T.A. Shafter, our Chairman Emeritus and founder. The story is one of resilience, one of hard work, one of discipline, and one of recognizing what is possible when all things seem impossible. It is a story which is founded in 1930 when our founder was born, through to 1940-41 when he was orphaned, and what is possible in this country, Sri Lanka. I myself returned to the country in the early 90s, leaving a well-paid job in South Kensington. I mentioned South Ken because it's one of the posher parts of London. A very well-paying job to what people thought was madness, coming into a country that was troubled by war. But yet, along with my siblings, we joined the family business, which showed everyone what is possible if one has hope and one has discipline and one puts in the hard work. My father, some of you know, was someone who went through much hardship, started life looking for employment began 70 years ago, more than 70 years ago, at the then Ceylon Insurance Company. Moved in from there to Carson Cumberbatch and continued in employment for nearly 20 years before he started off life as one man, as we say, one man and his band. For a further 20 years, he labored pretty much alone. Yes, it's a family business today, but for 20 years, he labored on his own without much support. We were overseas, we were studying. He was building a business, first as an agent, then as a principal agent, then as a broker. And then in 1992, we were back by then, he launched Janashakti Life. Many of you know the history of the group, and I'm not here to repeat it, but for over 3 decades, the group has been driven by the values of our founder, those values which are now articulated and explained to every newcomer in the group. Values of integrity, values of collaboration, values of respect, recognizing every human being as someone special in their own right, special to someone. Values of performance that was honed on the cricket field and the hockey field where he was a double international. But that has come into the workplace. And finally, the value of innovation. Janashakti's history has been built on innovation. We have led the field in many products. We have led the field in transforming insurance. We will lead the field in transforming finance. That is how we break barriers and forge futures. So at this juncture, some may ask, why an IPO? Why now? Volatility and uncertainty in the geopolitical space is a constant. Value is also a constant. Janashakti has held on to its foundational values and created financial value. We planned this a few years ago. We paused it when we had the economic crisis. And people are saying, should you pause it once more? No. We are confident that the country is in a much better place. We are confident that all these things, just like everything else, will pass. And so we are confident that we, with the help of our financial advisors, the investing public, and you, the media, we will have a very successful public issue. Our vision has always been to break barriers and forge futures from the very inception of Janashakti Life 30 years ago, and that is now articulated as our vision. We have adopted that as our vision to help people who are marginalized, help those who do not have access to financial products and financial independence to gain that in and through what JXG will do in this country. But this country is not all that we're talking about. We have our base in this country, but we are already making plans to expand into other parts regionally, other parts in Africa. We have examined those markets. We've had discussions. That is stated in our objectives. We are expanding locally, exponentially. We have conversations on each of our pillars to grow. And Janashakti's hallmark has always been growth. Some of you will remember when we were pretty small, we acquired the National Insurance Corporation, which was double our size. Double in number of staff, more than double in size and capital, but still we successfully acquired that. And that has been part of our DNA, part of our founders' DNA, which has driven each of us to look for acquisition, not to be satisfied with what we have or where we are, but to constantly pursue growth. And growth is something that Janashakti Group pursues. Organic growth as well as inorganic growth. Inorganic growth is driven very strategically. And we have stated already some of the segments that we want to grow in. Our people, and I recognize the presence of Mr. Tyagaraja, Chairman of First Capital, as well as Janashakti Finance, Ms. Anika Senanayaka, Chairperson of Janashakti Life. The people who lead those boards, the boards themselves, and all of the staff, that is our strength. Janashakti is often talked about as strength of the people. Jana meaning people, and Shakti meaning strength. And that strength is the strength of our people, the strength of our teams that have continued to help us to grow, helped us to develop the next generation of leaders, helped us to build a culture of respect and innovation and all of these things that we will take forward into the years that lie ahead. So today marks just the beginning of a new chapter. As I said, a significant milestone, but not a destination by itself. And today, we are showing our commitment to growing financial services in this country and beyond these shores. Today, we are continuing the legacy of our founder, a legacy which had clear intent: transform the lives of the people in this nation. When he began Janashakti Insurance, the payoff line was, let us light the lamp of insurance in every home. Today, we have gone beyond that. And we will measure impact because we want to be measured by impact. And we will talk about what we achieve in transforming this nation and the people of this nation that we love so much. It's a signal of our intent to continue to deliver value. We will push boundaries. We will drive performance. And with your help, the leaders who are here, the leadership that is here, and with the people that we have in our team today and the people that we will have in the future, we will achieve those goals. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramesh Shafter. We will now move on to the official IPO announcement. May I now invite Mr. Achudan Srirangan, Vice President, Corporate Finance and Advisory Services at First Capital, the managers of the issue, to take us through the details of the IPO, going over its background and potential opportunities.
Thanks, Vibat, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, the member of the media, and for the guest and the senior management of the Janashakti Group employees, and for joining us today. On behalf of First Capital Advisory, it's my pleasure to take the present of the initial public offering of Janashakti Group, JXG. The manager of the financial advisors of the transaction, we honored to the support of the group of the important milestone of this journey. And today represent the significant Janashakti Group, bring together financial service businesses and listing structure, and making a new pace of visibility, transparency, and growth. Let's begin with the brief overview of the offer. And the company is raising 5 billion and through a issuing of 500 million ordinary value shares at price LKR 10 per share, and representing over 21% of the company's equity. And this IPO is priced by a 37% discount to the company. Independent assess value is done by Deloitte Sri Lanka at LKR 1592 per share, reflecting a considered balanced approach to pricing. And equally, for the importance of proceed utilized. The primary objective of this issue of support JXG long-term growth, as mentioned by our Managing Director, CEO of JXG, and strengthening its financial position, expanding presence across the diversified financial services. The proceeds are utilized in the three stage areas, and first majority of funds are going 3.5 billion. It's invested to expand growth financial services, operate locally, include general insurance, microfinance, and non-banking financial services. This will be pursued through a combination of acquisition, consolidation, and new business establishment subject to regulatory approvals. And second, 500 million will be allocated to the regional expansion, which will focus on the selected frontier and emerging market in East and Southern Africa. And this expansion will be across the group existing vertical investment banking, non-banking financial services, and insurance. For this enabling group, establish a presence beyond Sri Lanka and diversify its revenue base. And third one, and it's a 1 billion utilized for the debt optimizations, including partly settling the existing commercial paper obligation with aiming to improve the group financial structure and capital structure and financial flexibility. an overall reflection of the disciplined and structured approach of capital allocation aligned with the group long-term strategy priorities. The today JXG standard diversified financial group operating across key verticals, life insurance, investment banking, and finance, non-banking finance. What makes this particular compiling of these three verticals brought into the together in a one single listed entity? For investors, this means access multiple segments in the financial services in one investment. The structure provides a natural diversification of earnings, reduce exposure in a single sector, and enhancing resilience over the economic cycles. And important terms, three financial sectors brought together in a one group. For the group journey reflect in a strong and consistent track record as mentioned by our group managing director and CEO, and origin life insurance companies in early 90s and expanded to strategic acquisition and through a new financial sectors and continuous evaluation and its business model. Over time, group has built well-integrated, scalable financial services in the group, supported by the strong brand and growing market presence. And journey demonstrates not only growth, it's also ability to adapt, restructure, and create value over time. For another pillar of this investment case, the strength is a leadership team here. The group is led by expertise professional, deep expertise in the financial services, capital market, and governance. And this track record reflects strong ability to execute strategies, managing risk, and the building businesses. And from perspective of managers of the issue, the quality of the depth of the leadership is critical factor to supporting the growth of future ambition of JXG. There's three key reasons for the standard of this IPO. First is a diversification of the group, operate across the multiple financial sectors, offering broader and balanced exposure. And second, scalable and proven performance businesses with established revenue stream, profitability, and strong asset base. And third, valuation is IPO offered a meaningful discount, independent assets by the Deloitte, and providing a strong starting point for investor. For this is the valuation done by Deloitte and a summary, and for this is done on the three subsidiary companies which we are listed, First Capital Holding, Janashakti Insurance, and Janashakti Finance. And for that offer, the fair value, it's 15.92 rupees done by the Deloitte, and the offer price of this IPO is at LKR 10, and which is offering nearly 37% discount to the investment. The financial snapshot, the group has demonstrated and solid consistent performance in past year, and the group assets stand out approximately 194 billion, reflecting a scale, strength, and continuous expansion of the business segment. The company level net profit for the first half of FY26, it's nearly 1.9 billion, reflecting the continued profit and strong underlying performance and the group ability to sustain earnings momentum. These fundamental highlights in the JXG mature income generated financial services group positioned for the further growth rather than in an early stage of speculative opportunity. In addition, group benefit integrated operation, shared services, and scalable capabilities, all which contribute and a long-time value creation. And JXG represents a completing opportunity of Sri Lankan capital market. It's bring together with a diversified financial services group and strong operating track record and experienced leadership and clearly defined growth strategy and offer the entry price for this valuation. As a manager of issue, and we are confident that IPO will be resonate strong with the investor seeking both value and long-term growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Achudan Srirangan, for that comprehensive overview. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now open the floor for any and all questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand and a mic will be brought over to you. You may direct a question that you may have to anyone here present at the head table, and please feel free to ask any questions in the language that you are comfortable. With that being said, do we have any questions from my esteemed audience?
Mr. Shafter, you mentioned expanding overseas, and you've already identified markets like Africa. What are the services that you will be expanding in?
So we've started a top-down approach, and we have identified a couple of countries within Southeast Asia as well. We've had visits to Bangladesh So I'm saying this just so that you don't go away with thinking we're only looking at Africa. We've identified certain Commonwealth countries in Africa where we believe that culturally and in terms of legal systems there's a fit. And we have had conversations with various parties, including capital market advisors, chartered accountant firms, worldwide firms which have representation here as well as there. And we have a bouquet of services. It's not that we're trying to take everything. It's not that we're trying to take only one. Depending on the country, depending on the regulatory framework, we would take what is most appropriate. So what are the services? We do everything in the financial space other than retail banking. And we're looking at, in different markets, the possibility of taking insurance. We're looking at also capital market activity. First Capital, as you know, is in a range by itself. They are in stockbroking, they're in capital advisory, they're in treasuries, and they're in asset management. Depending on, because Africa we know is lagging behind Sri Lanka in sophistication and development of capital market activity, but it's premature to take everything. It's premature to take certain things where the market is not ready. So we're having conversations already in the NBFI space, because that is something that the market is already functioning in. And we think that with time, once we get a foothold, we can introduce other products and services, other lines of business as well into those markets.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from the audience?
Two questions. Why are you going back to general insurance and what's the strategy there? And also, you have allocated 500 million rupees for the regional expansion. Is there a timeline? Because looks very small from given a overseas expansion. Is there a timeline for that?
Can I take both questions? The first one is that we had a very strong presence in GI. We exited in 2018, partly because the valuation and the offering was so attractive, we had to consider it being in business. Today, valuations have come off quite a bit. The market has got fragmented, and we have had a non-compete which expired almost 3 years ago. And we've looked at the market and thinking we really can do better than what some of the others are doing. On the side, we also have certain strengths. We still own some of the brands that we marketed, like the Janashakti full option brand. We also have developed state-of-the-art software for GI, which we're doing through an affiliated company. And given all of those strengths, we're thinking with the market conditions what they are, it is well worth looking at. We've actually done some of the work over the last 2 years and had 1 or 2 conversations. Should it be greenfield? Should it be brownfield? And right now, it's still left to be seen, but we're almost certainly entering this field during this year. Your second question was regarding the allocation for overseas expansion. Certainly, it's a small amount. When you allocate IPO proceeds, you need to justify it in terms of, is there a conversation? What's the size of the conversation? Do we see that as the amount that we're going to invest overseas? No. That is the amount allocated from the IPO proceeds. We will also have our own internally generated funds for that expansion. We're not trying to rush NISTA. We're trying to do 2 countries within the next year, and then over a 3-year span, maybe 5 countries in total. Because I think we have to be cautious. We need to understand how these markets operate. They're not always what seems on the surface. So the stated aim is there. So over a 5 to 10 year period, I would be fairly confident that we will have a mix of overseas as well as local investments in some sort of balance. But right now it's small. We're treading cautiously.
What is the real reasoning behind this IPO launch, despite the global economic turmoil, the uncertainty and regional headwinds? Do you really see, do you want to, benefit from the first mover mechanism to tap into the limited liquidity in the market? Or do you really see that there is investor appetite in the market to tap into your value proposition and benefit from it? Thank you.
I will leave Dilshan Veerasekara in the triple role, former chairman of the stock exchange, for the insights into liquidity, etc., and also he's deputy CEO of the group. He's part and parcel of the progress of the group, so he could explain the timing.
Thank you. So I think there is never an ideal time in Sri Lanka. If you rewind back 35 years, we've had one crisis after the other. And our group has progressed through all of these, and we've grown to what we are today. So we don't see the global crisis as a stumbling block per se. It could also be made an opportunity, and that's the DNA of the group. So we are not shy to enter the market, and this is something that we planned now for some time. It's unfortunate that the crisis broke out just while we were going to sort of open the issue, but we still are very confident that it will be a successful issue. From a market liquidity perspective, you currently have over 300 billion of excess liquidity in the banking system. We are only doing a 5 billion issue. And as part of the issue, there is also a preferential allotment that the manager is allowed, and we have essentially had conversations with investors. So we are quite confident of the oversubscription. I think maybe if at all the number of times it's oversubscribed may be slightly lower than we anticipated if there had been no crisis. But we are very confident that the 5 billion will be raised, and it's primarily based on value, right? So the valuations of the business hasn't changed because of the crisis. We are in financial services. Our businesses aren't sort of directly impacted by what's happening in the Middle East. We are coming with a 37% discount, 15 rupee and 72 cents valuation by an independent valuer. We are issuing it at 10 rupees. So while people talk of the discount, I'll talk of the upside. It's 37% discount, but it's a 51% potential upside, or 55% potential, because a 10 rupee, if it goes to 15, will give you a 50% upside. So I think there is sufficient upside for investors, regardless of market sentiment, that it will do well and you can make money. So I'll pause there.
Any further questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Very much. So what we have always done is grown organically and inorganically. Unfortunately, over the last couple of years, we've had detailed conversations which have not borne fruit, but that is the nature of transactions. So right now, although I'm under NDA, I can tell you we are having conversations as we speak. So it is part and parcel of our business. We have an M&A division which functions continuously. And so we're looking for opportunities. We're having conversations where we feel there is areas for collaboration or for acquisition, amalgamation. So those things are happening in each of our segments.
Can you give us kind of breakdown on 3 sectors and 3.5 billion? Is there a possibility to sort of how much will go to your 3 verticals?
So I can tell you offhand, Nista, we've allocated 3.5 billion for expansion into financial services, that is locally, and primarily for GI and for the NBFI sector. The NBFI sector would, our company would need financial support if they had to go in for a transaction, given their current levels of capital. On the life insurance sector, we are more than double the required capital. So we have more than adequate capital within that company to finance any expansion plans if they so desired. And one of the conversations I alluded to was 2 years ago, just before the disturbance in Bangladesh. We were actively looking at taking life insurance into Bangladesh because we had interested investors as well. That would have been a partnership. Those things come to our table every day. And so we're reserving some capital within insurance also for that. Insurance has its own capital. We are also, and the question about whether 500 was too little for overseas expansion. Right now, there are still some restrictions on taking capital out. There are special dispensations given where it's a transaction. Recently, we saw 2 companies doing one a deal in Africa and one in Indonesia. So those are premature for us to put down as how we're going to spend the money. That would be case by case.
Who is selling down the stake that you guys on the stake, 20% plus stake?
So it's entirely an offer for subscription.
Okay, it's a new issue on the new shares, I guess.
So the family has been previously 100% shareholders in one form or the other, and the family is diluting by issue of new shares. There's no sale of existing shares.
Okay.
So all of the capital raise goes into the company to fuel the expansion.
Also, you mentioned the fact that you'll be allocating 1 billion rupees for debt retiring and optimizing your capital structure. Can you elaborate on that, please? Thank you.
The reason is that balancing your asset liability mix is absolutely important at a holding company level. We are not an operating business, we are pretty much a holdco, and we have a mix of debt. So two objectives that we as the management would have is ensuring that the debt has a maturity duration that matches the underlying investments, and in this case they're long-term investments. The second is we would try to fix the rates of interest so that we don't have the fluctuations of daily life. That helps us to plan better. So we've done that only partly with fixing. We have moved a lot of our debt, which was less than 1 year maturities, to longer periods, 3 years and 5 years. We are working on other sources of finance which would even go to longer terms. And so the idea is that even though we have an investment grade rating, we don't have overexposure to commercial papers that could be called up if rates go up. They might want it to reallocate to other instruments, and we would then have that as a risk. We've identified that as a risk. And so for the moment, we would balance the exposure by trying to reallocate and have a more reasonable, manageable maturity mix. I think that's an important part of our managing of treasury.
The IPO will be a capital raiser for JXG and its stakeholders, and of course you will benefit from it. But out of that, because of the IPO launch, how do you think that the overall economy could be supported? What are the aspects that will flow into the overall economy, the broader economy? Thank you.
So if you look at Janashakti Group's contribution to the economy, it is huge in so many areas. For one thing, finance is the backbone of the economy. Through each of our segments, we are stimulating financial growth. Through the NBFI, we do SME lending, we do credit to small businesses, we empower individual traders. We don't do micro so much, but that is an area that we are committed to looking at because it's in line with our vision of breaking barriers, forging futures. And all of those, I mentioned impact. We would like to measure, and we already measure, how many lives we actually touch, how many lives do we actually enable to reach what they want to reach, how many lives do we empower financially through innovative products. And Dilshan could tell you that's something that First Capital is also really driving, where they want to break this whole disintermediation cost and make things more affordable to the world at large. And that is one of our stated aims. That's what comes through innovation.
Yeah, and I think just to add to Ramesh's point also is we are one of the groups in the forefront of sustainability in terms of ensuring our businesses are sustainable from a ESG platform. And I think even in terms of certification, we are the only institute, a capital markets institute in the world to get to start the certification program from the European Organization of Sustainable Development. So I think that aspect also is quite important in terms of we are not just there to make money, we are also there to ensure that the greater society and the world at large also benefit from our organization.
I said in my speech, and I mean what I said, this group is an inspiration of what is possible in this country, and I hope that it will inspire a new generation of entrepreneurs, because this is a group that is built on vision and hard work and very little capital. It was that time invested into it. There's the unity that existed. My siblings are also here. My mother is here as a strength behind my father for many, many years, because that is what's possible when you work as a team. That's what's possible when you work together. And I hope that this IPO, the success of this IPO, will inspire many other small businesses, many other entrepreneurs. Sri Lanka is not lacking in entrepreneurs, they're not lacking in innovation, they're only lacking sometimes in confidence.
Any further questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Maybe one last, I think, Ramesh, I have to ask this. As a family company, sort of breaking barriers as well to go public, what really convinced you? A lot of family-owned companies don't take this route.
Mr. We've been convinced long ago, right from the inception of Janashakti Life, you might recall because you've journeyed with us for many years, we had Desamanya Nisanka Vijayawardena as an independent chairman. There were at that time only 2 family members on the board, and we functioned as a company that embraced at that time the Cadbury principles of governance. And even today, for the last 4 years, 5 years, Chandan De Silva has been our group chairman. He's independent. There's 3 family members on the board. There's 5 other directors in total who are independent. We've subscribed to the highest levels of corporate governance. And we've always been, therefore, transparent. And being a regulated or having regulated entities, we don't have 2 bill books and such things, so we have no issue making this open. And the fact of the matter is, I think every family company, if they adopt good corporate governance, they're going to benefit from being listed. We are looking at money coming in. Yes, investors may make a profit, but that money is coming into the company to stay. That's coming to fund the next level of growth, which we would be limited trying to do on our own. And I think that more family businesses should really consider listing because it's a no-brainer, really.
If interest rates go up in the coming weeks or so, how will you work your way around it?
Yeah, so shall I take that?
Yes.
So I think interest rate volatility is something that we are used to, and as a group we thrive on. We see volatility as opportunity. So if rates go up, yes, there may be some immediate impact on the businesses, but obviously what goes up will also come down, and that's again an opportunity. And we've actually prospered during high interest rates. If you just go back and roll and look at our P&L, we made more money when rates are higher. So we are prepared for any level of volatility that we will see. I also just want to make a point in terms of the listing of the entity, the holding company. Below the subsidiaries, there are 4 other listed entities, right? So First Capital has 2, Janashakti Life and Janashakti Finance. So there are 4 subsidiaries already listed. If you look at the performance of those 4 shares, you will see they are one of the best performing shares in the Colombo Stock Exchange over the last 3 years. 2 of them are also the highest dividend yielding stocks for year 2024 and 2025. That's at the subsidiary level, right? If you look at what those are trading as multiples, they are trading at a much higher multiple individually. So you have an opportunity now to buy the holding company and diversify, get exposure to all 3 subsidiaries or those 4 listed entities at a significant discount. If you go and buy them individually, you'll pay a higher price and then your risk is concentrated in one of those businesses. Here you can get on top with that diversification, and as a group, the principles that we follow, we make money, we will pay dividends. I think that's something that you don't see some other groups do. We do it very well. Almost 85% of what we earn are declared as dividends. So that's the opportunity investors really have, and that's something I would like to highlight. Thank you.
Now, we are sure that you may still have some clarifications to make and questions to pose. So if you do have a question but would prefer to do it informally, please feel free to approach anyone at the head table or our senior management after the event concludes to pose your questions. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move to the most significant moment of the day. May I kindly invite the members of the head table to please come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, the prospectus will be formally handed over by the First Capital Advisory Services team, headed by Mr. Tharusha Ekanayaka, Chief Executive Officer of First Capital Advisory Services, and his team, to Mr. CTA Shafter, Founder and Chairman Emeritus, accompanied by Mr. Chandan De Silva, Group Chairman of JXG, and the members of the head table. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Mr. Tanushka Jayasundara, Group Chief Financial Officer of JXG, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It's a privilege to address this esteemed gathering and take a moment to express my sincerest gratitude as we conclude the media briefing of this monumental milestone. Your presence is deeply appreciated as a testament to the enduring relationships we've built over the years. Today, we not only reflect JXG's 30-year journey of guided innovation, vision, and its commitment to empowering Sri Lankans with lifelong financial solutions. We are also here to consolidate and mark the potential this IPO represents for us in strengthening that very commitment. As an integrated financial services group, we eagerly anticipate the protection, growth, and access to opportunity the IPO positions us to create in the immediate future. On behalf of the entire JXG group, I extend my heartfelt thanks to each of you for being here today and your efforts in helping us empower individuals and businesses across the country by breaking barriers and forging futures. Breaking barriers and forging futures. We are truly grateful for your trust and continued interest in our progress. I also want to take a moment to express my sincere appreciation to our leadership team, my colleagues, for strategic vision, dedication, and belief in building an integrated system dedicated and delivering meaningful value to many people of Sri Lanka. Your endeavors have set the stage for a stronger, more agile, and a more future-ready organization. I would like to extend a very special thank you to all the members of the media who are present with us today. Your presence and publicity have been an invaluable companion in this journey. It is with utmost gratitude that we thank you for being the bridge between our story, our stakeholders, and the public of Sri Lanka. We value your partnership and look forward to the continued growth we will achieve side by side. It is also a clear signal of our intent to continue delivering value to all our stakeholders while contributing meaningfully to the development of Sri Lanka's financial sector and its people. Thank you once again for your presence and involvement at this momentous occasion. I wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tanushka Jayasundara. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of today's media briefing. It has been a rewarding and eventful journey for all of us here at JXG, and now this is a golden opportunity for you to also join us in this journey. To close, we would like to invite you to join us for some lunch and networking. Thank you once again for being here with us today, ladies and gentlemen. We wish you a pleasant afternoon and eventually have a safe journey home. Thank you very much.